Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. I am your host and beat reporter, and I have been your beat reporter covering the Jacksonville Jaguars for OnSI every single day since August 2019, and we are continuing to move forward through yet another season together. As always, you can find our 100% free, 24/7, boots on the ground Jacksonville Jaguars coverage each and every day when you follow us on social media such as Facebook and Twitter at Jaguars on SI. You can also find us at www.si.com/NFL/Jaguars. All right, folks, welcome to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. Today, we are, of course, talking about the Jaguars and their big trade deadline move, trading for Las Vegas Raiders veteran receiver Jakobi Meyers. The Jaguars, of course, sent a 2026 4th and 6th round pick to the Raiders in exchange for the soon-to-be 29-year-old receiver. It's not going to lie, it's been a concentrated effort from those of us covering the team to map out exactly the pick situation, but they have, at least to my count, 11 picks left in the 2026 NFL Draft, including picks still in the 4th and 6th round. The pick that is going to the Raiders will be whichever pick is higher in the 4th round between them and their other 4th round pick, which belongs to the Minnesota Vikings. So they're keeping one of those 4th round picks either way. Now, this, of course, wasn't the most surprising trade, right? I mean, for a number of reasons. I mean, on this show, the last, since we've heard about Travis Hunter's injury, Jakobi Meyers has been a guy that we've brought up. I mean, it makes sense from like the fit, the team fit, and the player fit. It makes sense from the perspective of Jakobi Meyers was the most wanting to be traded guy other than Breece Hall. Breece Hall definitely seems like he would do anything to get traded. But Jakobi Meyers wanted out of Vegas. Has wanted out for quite some time. He didn't approach it how some players have or would approach it. He requested his trade, but still, practicing, not holding out. He's playing, being a leader for the Raiders and their young receiver core. So he was still doing all the things that he's supposed to. He just made it clear that, if they weren't going to pay him like the number one receiver they were utilizing him as, he didn't see a future there. And the Raiders obviously agreed. The Raiders weren't going to keep Meyers past 2025, and they should now be all in on, rebuilding for the 2026 season. A couple different thoughts on this trade, and we'll just let's talk about the pros first. The pros, in terms of what the Jaguars were missing at the wide receiver position so far in 2025, Jakobi Meyers, or at least Jakobi Meyers at his best, really checks a lot of those boxes. I mean, he has 2 combined drops since the 2024 season started. Brian Thomas Jr. has 13. Parker Washington has 7, I believe. De'Ami Brown has 6. I mean, it's not even a debate who now has the best hands on the Jaguars, healthy roster. I mean, even Travis Hunter only has 2 drops this year. Jakobi Meyers has a better drop rate this year than Travis Hunter does. Had 120 plus targets last year and didn't drop a single pass. So just from the standpoint of like consistency and reliability, I mean, that's the biggest thing the Jaguars haven't had at receiver all year. They've had guys who can make big plays, but there hasn't been that one guy who critical, gotta have it downs and, just can't hurt the offense by dropping this or putting this ball in the air. They haven't had that guy. And Jakobi Meyers, above all else, is that guy. He is Mr. Reliable. He's good going across the middle. He couple Like 2023, I believe he was near the top of the lead in the NFL in touchdowns on slants. So he's somebody who he can win going across defenders' faces. He can win in traffic. Again, a very sure-handed guy. Over the middle is where the Jaguars have seen their most drops this year, by far. Their two receivers who seem the most fearless of over-the-middle traffic are Travis Hunter and Parker Washington. And I don't think Parker Washington's dropped any because of hesitation going over the middle. I think you can sit out for some of the other drops they've had this year. He just has naturally dropped some of their over-the-middle passes. So Jakobi Meyers can work in that area. He can be an inside-outside guy. He's played a lot in the slot. He's played a lot outside. To me, I saw somebody saying that, why did the Jaguars keep adding people to get in Parker Washington's way? I don't see this as that. I see this as it's a very banged-up receiver room. Obviously, at 5-3, they think they can make a run at the playoffs and even at the division. And when teams have even a whiff of that, when they even think they have an iota of a chance at making the dance, more often than not, they're going to act on it. And I think the Jaguars, moving forward, I'd say this, when healthy, impacts De'Ami Brown more than anybody. I think Brian Thomas Jr., when he's healthy, whenever that is, obviously he's dealing with an ankle injury, will be the focal point of the passing game. But I think Jakobi Meyers, Trevor Lawrence, once they get their chemistry down, will obviously be a big asset. I think Parker Washington will continue to be utilized because he's made the plays to come up there. Now, will Jakobi Meyers get peppered in targets? I mean, there might be some games once Brendan Strains comes back where he's like fourth in the pecking order. So I'm not necessarily sure that's the case. But I do think he's a good fit, and Parker Washington can still thrive. It keeps them. They already weren't going to rush Travis Hunter, but now there's nothing even giving you the pressure to do so. I mean, now you have some receiver depth. And another aspect of this move is, and this gets into the cons a little bit, I think this move looks a lot better if they keep and sign Meyers past 2025. Obviously, you have to see what that contract looks like. But you have Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter and Parker Washington on rookie deals. Why not make Jakobi Meyers, for at least a short term, the veteran that you're paying? If you can go into next year's training camp with Thomas, Hunter, Meyers, Parker Washington, and a rookie as your top 5 receivers, I think that's a good place to be at. I really do. I think it's a much better place to be at than the top 5 that they entered this year with. So, on the flip side, if this is merely a rental for the next 9 games, I mean, a 4th and a 6th isn't nothing. They paid a decent price for Jakobi Meyers. As long as he fills a role, and you can see that role continuing past this year, I think that's a price you can easily live with. But if, you get just 9 games of him, if he's just a rental, that's a little bit more questionable, I think. So I think a lot of the perception of how this deal ages depends on whether or not they keep him. Like Greg Newsome. Yeah, the Jaguars end up keeping him. Fantastic for them that worked out then. But they already got something out of that trade. They already got the improvement by nearly 2 rounds of a draft pick. So Newsome continuing with them can just be, a bonus. They already got something positive out of that. If they don't keep Meyers, then you don't get anything positive out of this trade after this old 9-game rental. And say you miss the playoffs and don't extend him, I mean, you trade a 4th and a 6th for a 9-game rental in a non-playoff season. That's not obviously ideal, but we will see. I think it's a reasonable trade, especially if they have certain things lined up for the future. But at the very least, the Jaguars have gotten better at wide receiver at a position they badly need to get better at.